Console Corner is brought to you by and created by Bluball 1993, with special thanks to our contributors Garcia, GC2MT, Josh Carbon, Hi-Res, Phazion, Onilight, and many others. If you'd like to be a contributor and a more prominent supporter of Console Corner, be sure to visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Bluball. That's patreon.com/BLUBALL. Hello everyone, my name is Blue. Welcome to the 4th episode of the Console Corner podcast. Today I have two bot-like guests with me today. I have iqZed, also known as Dez, and then we have AuthorTheGod, also known as Arthur. I don't know if any of you have watched that TV show, but he looks just like him. Author, Dez, how you guys doing today?
Yeah, what's good, Blue?
Doing great.
Do you guys live in like large cities?
Yep.
Do you guys have like in your downtown area especially, do you have like bicycles that just sit there and people can rent them and ride them around?
Yep.
You guys have those?
Yeah.
Have you used them?
Nah.
No? Okay.
I have not.
So here in Cleveland, we have those. But recently, a couple days ago, I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago, less than a week, some company started doing the same thing, but with motor scooters, like these little scooters that are electric.
Yeah.
And they're called Bird scooters, okay? And on the handlebars, there's like a pad, and it tells you it's $1 to activate it. And you have to download the app, and then you scan the QR code, put in your credit card information, and you can ride the scooter around, right?
Right.
Okay, so they just put these out about 4 or 5 days ago, and yesterday the city has banned them.
What? Why?
So now they have to go around and collect all of their scooters. And they're
crazy.
And they're not allowed to be in Cleveland. The reason is because the second or third day that they were out there, apparently people don't understand that these electric scooters cannot go in the street. And someone actually died.
Holy shit.
They got hit by a car, and I watched it happen.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So for anybody out there who's riding those bicycles and those scooters, don't ride them in the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
But
At all.
But today I wanted to talk to you two about you guys.
Okay.
Okay, to be more specific on what I want to talk about, it's, there's a big thing in the console paladins scene, especially in the competitive esports side of things, where people switch teams frequently. Teams break up a lot. People quit playing the game, then they come back after a while, which you two have done. So,
Yep.
And I can relate to this as well because I've had people who have quit my team. Some leave because they don't like the team. Some leave because they aren't winning. Some leave because of things in IRL or in real life. And there's tons of reasons. But let's start from the beginning. I don't care which one of you goes first, but how did you get into Paladins to begin with? And then how did you get into the esports side of things? And then tell me your timeline, what teams you're on, what happened. Why? Because I know you guys have been on some teams before and you left. And then most recently you guys had some roster problems with the Nan Handlers. So let's just start from the beginning. I feel like, Author should go first. And Author, I know you're going to do this, so you got to chill with your language on the podcast.
Okay.
A specific word. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I got you.
There could be children listening to this, and I don't want to have to deal with the comment backlash.
Okay,
Right.
if I say something, just tell me to not say it.
No. It's just the one word. I mean, these go on iTunes and Spotify as well, so.
Yeah. All right,
I have no problem with you saying it. I just don't.
Yeah, I got you.
I know. Yeah.
The audience, you know how those things work on the internet, so.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's start from the beginning. Author, how did you get into Paladins? What happened?
All right, so I came from Smite.
You
Like
play-
a lot of people did
You play,
because
but okay. Sorry to cut you off real quick
no, you're
and
good.
so early.
What's up?
I know you play on PC and PlayStation.
Yeah, that's
you-
true. But I came from console Smite.
Okay.
I
That's
played-
what I wanted to ask.
Yeah. I played ranked in console Smite a lot, and I got pretty good at it. And I was like, I saw that Hi-Rez made another game, and it was Paladins. And me and Dez at this point have already been friends for like 3 years.
Yeah, I can tell the way you guys hang
It's like
out.
Modern Warfare 2, dog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
played. We're like trick shotters, like on PS3. As cringy as that sounds, but we just knew
Yeah.
each other forever. And then I was like, "Yo, this game is pretty fun, and it's like something new to the console scene." And I was like, "Yo, come play it." And then he started playing.
Okay, so you guys played Call of Duty together. You guys played Smite. Did you follow the Smite console league?
I did, but I played like really early PS4 Smite, so
I did
never-
too, actually. I played like when there was only like 20 gods.
Exactly.
And then after
yeah,
that, I just quit, and now I know nothing about the game pretty much.
yeah, exactly. It's gone so far, and like I don't really watch the esport anymore. But it's
I'm kind of excited to watch Paladins go that far.
yeah. I wish it. I think it can. It just they have to make some good things happen. You know.
Yeah. Did you guys play Overwatch?
I did not get.
I
I
didn't.
played the Overwatch beta on PS4, and I never really got into it. But now I'm
Oh.
getting into it a lot.
That's when that's when Bastion had a shield.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys didn't play Overwatch, Author. You're just now starting to play Overwatch. I'm sorry for you.
Yeah.
It's the game's not
Yeah.
its prime anymore, especially on console. So you missed the good days of that.
Yeah.
But you were playing Smite on console, and then you started playing Paladins. Is that how Dez started too? Dez, did you play Smite?
No, I didn't. I just played COD and then went into Paladins.
Oh, okay. So you brought you went from FPS to Paladins, and you are, you have that FPS experience there. Author also has the FPS experience, but he came from Smite, so he has a little more of the MOBA experience as well.
Right.
The items.
Yeah.
And,
And
stuff
I
like
previously played League of Legends.
that. Oh, okay. So how did you guys get into the esports scene? Because I if I remember correctly, you guys were in the Valencia qualifiers, weren't you?
No, we had just started playing like when Valencia qualifiers.
Yeah, that's when we
started?
just started getting into like the esports scene.
Right.
So after that was when we really started.
So the HRX qualifiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And what was your guys' first team?
Proximity. It was me, Zast, Velocities, Author, and Gearnot.
Oh yeah. Gearnot was a really good player. I don't know where he is now.
plays
Zach,
They all quit.
yeah. Which is the reason why we're going to be talking about this. Zats, I remember it was a really good BK.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very.
So what happened with that team? What happened with Proximity? How'd you guys find each other? And then what happened?
Oh, we
That's
found
where
each
we
other
go.
in rank. No,
Yeah.
I'll go. Yeah, we found each other in rank, just like I think everyone does. And like after playing for a while, like everyone just got super bored, started branching out to new games. Like Velocities, he went to Destiny.
He went to
Yeah.
Destiny.
Yeah.
He went to Destiny too.
I
when
know.
it came.
I know. Gearnot is a really big like Fortnite player, isn't he?
No, I'm not sure. I think so.
He plays Fort and Overwatch now.
I see him in casual sometimes.
Yeah, and
Paladins
he
casuals.
plays Paladins too, but not like
Yeah.
I think he's more of like a casual gamer now. He doesn't really care
Exactly.
about the
Mhm.
esports.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen a lot of things Velocity does Fortnite wise. I don't know where Zats is. I mean,
he
He
plays
plays Brawlhalla.
Overwatch.
so basically what happened was you guys didn't win, and
No, we were winning.
no, I meant you guys didn't qualify for HRX.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they felt like they, didn't want to play the game anymore.
Wait, Dez, did we play in the quals or were we just scrimming and then split up?
I think we played like with a different team in quality because we split up. Like
Yeah,
we were scrimming a lot. We were like scrimming Invigorated.
Yeah,
and
we-
fucking,
used to-
So proximity.
we were taking maps off of good teams. Like we were beating
Yeah.
Monarch, fucking taking maps off Invigorate, but like everyone just got super bored.
So they got super bored. They left. Then you guys go into qualifiers. Is this when you guys went to Monarch, or is there something in between Proximity and Monarch?
Did we have another team? I don't know. I
Um,
think it was Monarch.
You guys went
we
to
started like that's when we like everybody was on a good team at this point. It's been the same way forever.
I
So,
remember
like,
I had a team then. I had a team.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's
you-
hard. It's hard to get really good players when all the really good players are on teams. You know what I mean?
That's when that's when I think nowadays it's not that big of a problem.
Yeah.
It's still a problem, but not as big. And
Exactly.
But the problem I'm saying, or what I'm saying, the problem was then is the duo factor. You know,
Right.
I ran into the trouble because I wanted to pick up Ralkion, and I couldn't get Ralkion unless the Muffin Man came with him. And
Yeah.
you know, at the time, I don't know if you guys are doing it now, but back then I know I couldn't get Author, for example, unless I got Dez with him too.
Right.
You know, there was a lot of those too. You couldn't get Atomic Boom without E-Knives for a while.
Yep.
Couldn't get you know, Grapple without Objection, I think it was. You know, there was a lot of
No, I think it was Grapple without Vengeance and then Objection without Monster.
Oh, yeah, that's the way it was. But I feel like that was a big setback for a lot of players and teams. I mean,
I agree.
yes. Okay, so here's the dilemma. The dilemma is that if you join a team and you force them to pick up your duo, you're playing with your friends, right? So as the duo person, you have to remember that if a good team wants you and not your duo partner, you have to decide between your friend or money.
Right.
But of course, without us saying the next part of this problem, everyone's going to choose money over their friends, or 90%, right? The next part is that everyone complains about Hi-Res's payments and the lateness and the system and the amount, and it's just everyone complains about everything about that. But so then they would rather play with their friends, because if they're not going to get paid on time, if they're not going to get paid a lot, then they'd rather do it with their friends, you know?
Yeah.
But the thing is that I don't really see many of those teams that had that duo package curse making it to lands, unless they were you know, the top players, which at the time those top players can duo together, you know, like Whoosh and Shu, they can do it because they've been to multiple lands together, so that's a good package to bring with you. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know, I just feel like it's a big problem. It's not as big of a problem now than it was earlier in the scene, but I feel like it's still kind of.
I don't really think there's any duos anymore. Like me and Author, we could join like different teams, but back then it was like we'd be a duo package.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So I mean, if someone came to you, Des, earlier when you guys were a duo package, how does that? Like, how does
Yes, it actually did happen.
It did happen.
Ralkion and Muffin Man are trying to team with me, and I was like, oh, I want to bring in Author because I thought he was better than Muffin Man at the time. And like they just didn't want to do it, so we didn't team.
Yep.
So and who else did Muffin Man and Ralkion have in mind instead of Author? You three, and who else?
No, they already had a team. They had Silent Wave, I think. Who else was on the team? Electron had already quit, I believe.
Yeah, he already quit. I don't remember the last guy.
Yeah.
We won't even talk about Electron. That guy's a mess. Yeah, I see him on Twitter all the time. $20
modding accounts.
modding Call of Duty accounts. Like, dude, it's not 2010 anymore, bro.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I didn't really care about Call of Duty when I played back in the day, but what does modding your account do besides unlock everything?
That's all it does.
That's all it does.
Huh,
like if you don't want to, if you want to grind for like your levels or your camos or whatever, you just get it.
Yeah, pretty stupid.
Okay, so waste of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so do you feel like now, if that opportunity came now and you took it, you know, would you be able to progress in the scene, or?
I mean, it depends what team it is. If it's a good team, I'd probably join it.
I'm talking about the Ralkion team that wanted you back then. Like, do you look back on that now and say, "Damn, I should have took that. That could have been a good team. We could have potentially did something."
I don't think so, because like they all split up like right after they lost. I think like Ralkion teamed with Boom and them.
Oh yeah.
That's when they had their little team. Yeah.
So I mean, what do you guys think the scene needs in terms of like? There's so many people that switch teams, and I feel like it's a big problem. Like if you look at Xbox EU, and I've said this before, they switch teams. Those people, those players, those rosters, they change so fast. I can't even write them down.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just because no one over there can beat Vexed, so they just have to like keep on trying to create a roster to do that.
It's not only that. Vex changes their roster a lot too.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
You want to know what I think it is? I think it's the lack of players that are like quality top tier. If you can't have top tier players, like the team's not going to stay together. That's just the facts. Like if you're not winning lands or coming second place, your team's probably not going to stay together.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If you're not winning lands, there's only been a handful of people that have gone to lands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at Elevate, Blight, the HRX Elevate, you know, Onslaught, Flashpoint, it's a handful of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cryptic, Strictly Business, like it's a handful of people.
Yeah.
If you look at Strictly Business, right, you got Shu, Whoosh, Skeppy, and Wonderful. Those four have been to pretty much every LAN.
Yeah.
The other guy was K-Cam. He doesn't play the game anymore.
Yeah.
You look at Cryptic. Maglish is gone. He doesn't play the game anymore. You still have Swiper, who technically has qualified for every LAN. He didn't go to 2 because of travel problems, but he would have went if he didn't have the travel problems. So he's been to every LAN. You got Prosper, who's been to 3 LANs. You got Legacy, who's been to 2. I mean, these everyone has been to a LAN pretty much. Even, I mean, if you look at the summer LAN, was there anybody that was their first LAN? Cool Matt, I think, was the only person from Onslaught. I think that's the only person. Trensic, Miracle, that was their second ones. Neil, that was his second one. Boom, that was his second one that he showed up to. He qualified for Valencia. But, you know, there's only a handful. If you're going to call LAN players tier 1 or top tier players, then there's really only a handful, especially when you go over to Xbox EU where there's only Vexed. And then and then here's the other thing with Vexed. If the biggest thing that determines if you're a top tier player is going to LAN, then let's look at Xbox EU in this sense, in Vex Gaming particularly. Is iqZed Forskeen, or however you say his name, is he a top tier player?
I haven't seen enough of him to say.
He was the sub at Springland for Vexed. He's been their sub in the past a couple times as well. Is he a top tier player? Because he went to LANs. Another one, for example, Blokely. He was the sub at LAN at HRX for Vexed, and he had to play because they only brought 5 people. He had to play. Before that, before HRX, he hadn't played the game for 3 months. And I don't think he's played the game since HRX.
Yeah, I don't think going to LAN qualifies you as a top tier player. Usually they are there, like the ones that make it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really judge it on that. I mean,
exactly.
I hate to do this one, but is Destronite a top tier player?
I mean,
he went to LAN.
He went to LAN with Fable.
Oh, he took the sub spot though. He didn't like qualify to get in.
I'm saying playing starting 5 roster.
Right.
Well,
those are usually the top.
All right. Okay. How about this one? The Legacy. He went as a sub. Travel problems.
He played though. He played,
but he wasn't. Who's to say? We're not guaranteed knowing that he was going to play if Swiper had shown up.
I think he was already considered a top tier player though before.
Okay, so let's take a look at this. Which of the 4 teams at LAN were the weakest teams? In your opinion, you got Elevate, Onslaught, Flashpoint, and Vexed.
Oh, Vexed.
Vexed was the weakest team.
Right.
Okay, Author, is Vexed the same answer for you, or you have a different answer?
I'd have to say Vexed, yeah.
Okay, so Out of the players on Vex that were main roster and played, who's the weakest?
Honestly, wait.
Or is anybody on Vex not considered a top tier player, but they still made the LAN?
Honestly, they have World Edit, right? And I think he's really good.
World Edit is probably the best blaster on console. I'm not gonna.
I think he is a really good player. And if they could like build something around that, they'd be really.
I think the 3 core players for them are Narc, World, and Welsh Mania.
Yeah, Welsh Mania's good. That's insane.
Those 3 guys have been on the roster since the very beginning when they were.
I remember them.
Boys, way back.
They were Gangstars as well, right?
Yeah, they were Gangstars for the longest time, and then they switched to Vex.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I think they can pick up like any other 2 players and possibly make it to LAN. Not any player, but like.
Well, they're keeping the same roster. They have Slopodopoulos and Lexi. Lexi got moved back to support.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm remembering correctly. But here's the thing. Out of all the teams that went there, who is everyone there considered a top-tier player, or is there anyone there that you feel is not a top-tier player? Is what I'm trying to say. They made LAN, but are they still considered not a top-tier player? You're
saying
opinion?
starting 5?
Starting 5.
Yeah, I think everyone there's a good player.
I'm not saying good. I'm saying, are they a top-tier player? There's a difference between top-tier and good.
The thing is, the Paladins community is so small, kind of, in a way, that if they are the top tiers. Like,
yeah.
Well, here's what I think. I think they're the top-tier players, and I think that, especially when it came to, like, the all-star voting, those players got the most votes. I think it's because, unlike PPL, unlike PGS, and unlike Smite Console, we only get to watch on Mixer the finals match.
Yeah.
So you only see 2 teams. And 9 times out of 10, it's those teams. It's the same players. So they can be top tier. But what if, okay? So let's take Elevate on PS4 NA, for example. There are 5 great players, okay?
Right.
5 top-tier players in the Paladins console scene, right?
Of course.
But let's say OG Comedy is on a team on PS4 NA now. Let's say he switches over. Is Comedy a top-tier player?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Okay.
And if he could prove that he could consistently beat that team, he would be.
No, I'm not saying he's going to beat that team.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, here's a better example. Go ahead. Flashpoint, okay? PS4 EU.
Yeah.
They for the first 2 weeks of open bracket, where it's the tournament format, Cyclone, which was FY Midnight Oligarchs.
Yep.
Would you consider that team a tier 1 team, or any of those players top tier? They have iTeek, they have Donka, they have Centurio, they have Nox Mave.
But what we have in the counterpart is that it's a best of 1. Like, anything could happen in a best of 1.
Okay, but here's the thing: in best of 3s, they go to 3 games. In best of 5s,
they're top tier players.
Yeah, so they're top tier players, right?
In EU.
That's what I'm saying. In EU right now, we're just talking their region.
Just because there's not enough players, yeah.
No. That's not what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to get at is if they're top tier and they're a tier 1 team and they have to face Flashpoint in the semifinals, but they only show the finals on stream, then the team that wins the other semifinal side of the bracket is maybe a tier 2 team, maybe it's a tier 3 team, and then they go against Flashpoint. Cyclone would beat this team as well, but Cyclone had to play Flashpoint. So in the finals, the people who don't pay attention to Console Corner, the people who don't pay attention to, who don't play on console or don't pay attention to console Paladins, and they just watch the mixer, the spectator view of things, and they're watching Flashpoint destroy this tier 2 or tier 3 team. Those spectators don't know who Cyclone is. So in their minds, in their view, in their perspective, Flashpoint is the only tier 1 team. Flashpoint is the only top tier players in the PS4 EU region. You see what I'm saying? So it's the exposure. So if those spectators had to vote in the All-Star ballot that I created, who would they vote for? They would vote for the people from Flashpoint, because the only 2 teams they've seen are the Flashpoint players and the players from the other team that were weak and not as good as Flashpoint and not as good as Cyclone either. But those people don't know who Cyclone are. So of course they're not going to vote for Cyclone. You could think that Donka is a better damage than Prosper. I'm not saying he is, but if Joe over there in Montana thinks that he's better, then he would vote for Donka. But he doesn't know who Donka is because he hasn't seen them on the Mixer stream. So, with PPL, they show all the matches. They have like a season, like any other sport, where you can watch all the games, right? Yeah. And you can see everyone. You can see all the players, all the teams. You can evaluate them. If you look at the PPL, Splice, the first split, they went winless, right? Now, on paper, you would think that they suck, but they had 1 or 2 top-tier players in PC Paladins, but you can't really tell that from looking at an 0-8 record. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, now, when the PCL season starts, you'll have 4 teams playing each other, and 2 teams will play one match, and the other 2 teams will play their match, and whoever wins goes to the finals for that week, right?
Yeah.
So there's certain matchups where the PCL will allow you to see every team because you have more of a chance of seeing these teams play because they have to play each other each time, or they play every team. There's 4 teams, so they all play each other throughout the season. So each team will have a chance of making the finals. Let's see if we can get an example here. Here we go. So if I'm correct, the first week of PCL for PS4 EU will be Brutal Fissure and Cyclone, and the winner faces the winner of YCTG and Flashpoint. So if I had to guess, I would say Cyclone versus Flashpoint. So now the people watching the stream will actually get to see Cyclone play against Flashpoint if that were to be the matchup. And then the next week, week 2, it would be Flashpoint versus Brutal Fissure and Cyclone versus YCTG. You could possibly see Flashpoint and Cyclone again. You could possibly see Brutal Fissure and YCTG. You could possibly see Cyclone and Brutal Fissure, or YCTG and Flashpoint. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's and then the next week after that, week 3, you have YCTG and Brutal Fissure, and then you have Cyclone facing Flashpoint in the first match. Or in the first set. So only Flashpoint or Cyclone, one of them is going to make the next match, while the other one will be Brutal Fissure or YCTG, and you'll get a chance to see them play Flashpoint or Cyclone instead of it just being the same 2 teams facing each other on stream all the time.
Yeah.
Like if we look at the Spring Land qualifiers, Fable was constantly, they were heating up at the time, was their name. Mm-hmm. They were going up against Elevate on Xbox NA in the finals every week. Did anybody know who Press Y was? No.
Nope.
Do the spectators know who Kirsty's Hands were? No. Do the spectators know about the other teams that were in the Xbox NA? No, because the way that format was and the way that they do it is they only show the finals. So I feel like the exposure is not, the exposure is not where it should be. And here's the thing where exposure doesn't mean anything if you still lose, blah blah blah, whatever. You guys can say whatever you want, but
that's
exposure.
But here's the thing. Here's what I say. Before Console Corner, teams were breaking up all the time. Before Console Corner, rosters were a mess everywhere. All regions, both consoles, right? And, a lot of people quit the game. But I feel that when I started Console Corner, it was to grow our scene. Now, and I've talked about this with some other players as well. They've shared their input and their feedback, and I use it, and I appreciate it. And you guys can tell me what you think about this. If you watch Console Corner, or you watch the Power Rankings video, or you listen to the podcast, or you watch my stream and you ask me questions, if I mention the same people who are the top tier, like Elevate and Onslaught and Flashpoint and and Vexed, it gets very, very tedious, right? It gets very boring, right?
Yeah.
But if we let's talk about this past week in the power rankings. A lot of people got upset that Onslaught was number 6, right? And if we have time, we'll talk about the power rankings here. But what I want to point out is that there was group stages, so 4 teams qualify, right? So I talked about Happy Battle Cats. No one knows who they are. No one's heard of these people besides the people that have gone into matches with them or have played against them or know them personally over the game, right? So, PS4 guys, you guys don't know who was on Happy Battle Cats, right?
No, I have no idea.
Do you guys know who's on Curse These Hands?
No.
Okay. Here's a better example. Do you guys know who Ninja Zen and Naiju are?
Nope.
Okay, so they are both frontline players for OTP on Xbox EU. And I have said that they are arguably the best tank duo in the Xbox EU region. Now, when I say something like that, which I did, and the first time I said that on the Console Corner show, when I was reviewing OTP's roster and talking about them in depth, they both messaged me on Twitter and said, "Thank you for the kind words that you have said about us. It's really great to hear that our hard work is being noticed, and we're going to continue to grind." Some other players have said the same thing to me about themselves and thanking me when I say good things about them. People like TKO, when I critique his gameplay, where I say, he doesn't do this well, or he doesn't do that well, or he doesn't play this champ well, he messages me after Console Corner and says, "Okay, what can I do to change this? What can I do to get better at this? What can I do in this situation differently than what I did to get better?" So, I mean, these people, if you're a mid-tier player, a low-tier player, if you're on a Tier 2 team or a Tier 3 team, and I am talking about you in depth, or I give you a compliment, or I say something like constructive criticism that in a way is positive towards you, I feel like those people, it encourages them to keep playing. It encourages them to stick around. And it does. It's like, if I'm playing with you guys in ranked or something and I say, "Oh, that was a great play, Des," it kind of
it's the gas.
Or in my terms, it juiced you, right?
Right.
And it makes you feel like your hard work hasn't gone unnoticed. It makes you feel like you can still keep improving. It makes it feel like you're not doing this for nothing. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. So I feel like Console Corner is helping our scene because,
it's motivating players.
People are getting the exposure that they don't get. If OG Comedy came over to PS4 NA and he started a team, but the players on his team are tier or mid-tier players or low-tier players, he's probably not going to make the finals, especially if he has to play like Elevate in the semifinals. So he doesn't get the exposure, but he's a top-tier player. So if I talk about him or his teammates on stream, I feel like he gets a sense of acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And that goes with everyone, What is Author washing dishes? What's going on?
I have no idea.
I'm just listening to your. I like listening. Do you want me? All right.
So I mean, what do you guys think?
So what was the question?
I have something to say. It all comes down to the scale of the esport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
How far they want Paladins to go is how far it's gonna go. And that's the difference between Paladins Pro and Smite Pro, in my opinion. Like, the prime of Smite Pro is really good.
Well, you have to also realize that Smite has been around for a longer period of time.
Exactly.
I mean, if you want to be technical, and this is a true statement, at HRX in January, I was, it was break time for Paladin. So I'm just walking around checking everything out, right? The booths, the vendors that are there and stuff, getting some food, checking it out. And I kept looking at something. And I realized something. The Smite console players' World Championship prize money was more than the PC Paladins prize money.
Exactly. Exactly.
because it's
And
a
it
bigger
comes
game.
down to what they want it to do. Like,
So exactly. So the people who say, "Oh, they don't care about console," they don't care about console. To a certain extent, they don't. They may not show that they don't
Exactly.
care. They may show that they don't care, but they do care. They're paying Smite console pros more money than the PC Paladins prize money. So we just have to continue to grow our scene as a community. We have to continue to grow our community as well, and we have to stay positive and keep giving them our feedback in a positive manner. It can be negative feedback, but if we give it to them in a positive manner, then you know what I mean. So I feel like it will grow over time. I mean, our game just launched fully released in May of this year. It's been around for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years at this point. But how long was Smite out before they fully launched it? How long has Smite been out? Period. You know what I mean? So
exactly. And I want to add something to that. I think that the game could really it comes down to it needing exposure. When you think about every good game now that like blows up, it's all got exposure from like Twitch streamers, and on Twitch, like they're not even broadcasting like on the highest platform they can for every esport. Like they need to put all their energy into Twitch so they can expand the game. But they can't do that.
The problem with that, I can comment on that.
They need the money for that.
Well, the problem with that, okay, is they have the money because
I know they just don't want to use it. Exactly.
No. They have the money, but if they streamed it on Twitch, they wouldn't have the money. The money that they have is because
from Mixer.
Mixer says if you stream console on our website only, we'll give you this much money. Facebook did the same thing. So I mean, in a way,
that's bad for the game though.
Yes and no, because the game is making the money. The game is they're able to provide the prize pools with that money. They're able to pay out the players with that pool. Yes, I understand. I don't really like those platforms over Twitch as well, but I mean, I don't know. Technically, if I were to be in charge of Hi-Rez's Twitch channels, the first order of business I would do is change the name on Hi-Rez TV, that Twitch account, because they only do Smite on there. So I would change it to Smite Game.
Yeah.
Back before Paladins was even thought of, they had Hi-Rez TV and Smite was their big game, so they just streamed it on there. You don't want to lose that following that has done that. So just change the name. I mean, I changed my name. It's not that difficult in Twitch, but I understand where you both are coming from. I don't like Mixer. I mean, that's why I stream the games on mine, and people watch them on Twitch through me, and I watch them on Mixer. So I and I don't like Facebook. I don't like the interface it has. I just wait until those streams. I just wait until those streams are done, and then I just download the video and fast forward it. But I understand about the platforms and all of that, and in regards to those, I mean, there's not much we can do towards that. We can just provide them our feedback, which a lot of times is negative. People just dog it the whole time. But I mean, they're trying something. There's no harm in trying new things. I mean, when you first heard of Twitter, you were probably on Facebook and MySpace, right?
Yep.
I mean, when I first joined Twitter, I had no idea what I was doing. I thought it was a dumb website, but it has developed over time. It's become a great website. Look at Snapchat. Snapchat had been out for like 6 years before it blew up. I downloaded Instagram in like 2008, and it was a garbage app. I deleted it. So, I mean, in time, things will maybe pan out, or if they don't work, then they'll move away from them. But there's nothing really we can do about the platforms they stream on. It's not like we're going to get the whole community to boycott a Mixer stream. I will say, though, someone asked me this the other day, and I went back, which was a good 12 hours of research there. The console Mixer streams average more views than the PPL Facebook streams.
No, that's crazy. I actually didn't know that.
And there's also people that watch these streams through the Skillshot website, and I can't measure those viewers, but
Yeah.
just thought I'd throw that in there. So, okay. So here's a question about people that are leaving teams and stuff like that. In your opinion, because you both were on the Nan Handlers, 4 teams made the PCL in each console on each region. So there's 16 teams in the PCL. What do you think the players who didn't make the PCLs should do? Should they stick together and try to scrim and practice and grind out for the next qualifier into the PCL? Or do you think they should just quit the game? Or do you think that they should try and join PCL teams if available? I know there's a few teams looking for people.
No, I say you look for one of the league teams, and then if you can't get in, you'll just grind with the team into the next qualifiers.
If you grind with a team from right now on to the next qualifiers and don't give up on that team, but that's the problem. Everybody wants to give up on a team if we're not winning in scrims.
Right. Like, we have, 4 different rosters, dude.
Like,
Kids
just because somebody can't make the scrim this night or something else, because it's hard to scrim every night when you got stuff to do. I mean, real life.
I've said this as well. There's also other ways to practice. You don't need to just scrim.
Well, yeah, but that if scrimming top tier teams is the best practice, in my opinion.
Okay, here's a scenario for you. Your team is winning scrims, but you guys are losing tournament matches. What's the problem?
That's different. You got to VOD review and figure out what's happening.
Okay, VOD review. Okay, now you have done your VOD reviews. You're winning scrims, and you're losing tournament matches because your call-outs or your
call-outs. Dude, that's big.
So how do you practice your call-outs? If you're winning scrims, then how do you practice your call-outs?
You just need people to start talking. I notice that a lot.
Exactly.
People just don't. I mean, I'm a pretty vocal person in scrims, and I'll say
sometimes it's not that they're not talking. It's just that their call-outs are not good.
Well, that's my experience.
Usually it's like they're not talking, dude.
Exactly.
Like, a lot of our support players just don't like to talk, and that's huge because if they're getting flanked, dude, that's affecting the whole team because they call out right after they're dead.
Okay, here's a question. When you guys are doing call-outs, is everyone talking on your comms or?
I'd say no. I'd say me and Dez are the main. We mainly
we call who to focus and where people are.
Call out other stuff.
I'm gonna give away a couple strats here, boys. Okay.
Let's hear 'em.
So back when I had a team, we had a system where we would do our callouts, which was the Novus Legends, bro. Okay.
Yeah.
The NGs, Novus Gaming. Okay. Not NGL. Not gonna lie, Novus Gaming Legends. Right. Okay. But no. Garcia and I were the front lines. We had Sindrake on our support, and we had young Pablo in Pittsburgh were our damages. Okay, so Pablo. the way that he quit the game.
I remember.
The way that the call out system would work is if we run a double tank comp. Okay, the usual 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and a support.
Yeah.
Sindrake is the support, so he would basically be calling out. His job is to call out the positions of the enemy team, okay? He's calling out the positioning. He's also calling out our team's positioning. If someone needs to back up, he should be in charge of telling. He should be like, Blue, you need to back up. Blue, you need to back up, right?
Yeah.
Or pretty much what I do.
Exactly. As the support, Drake would do that. Or, it's like, it's like Mave right side. Or, if we're on Bright Marsh, then it'd be like Pips and Potion, whatever, right? That's true. That was Sindrake's job as the support. He's also calling out his heals. Okay.
Yeah.
At the same time, the 2 front lines were your other main shot callers. Okay. Now, whoever is playing the main tank, this is the problem with this is you have to develop this system around your tanks or around your tank players or around what tank they're going to be playing. Okay, so basically, I was basically the side tank most of the time, and Garcia was the main tank most of the time, right?
Right.
So Garcia, as the main tank, is calling out cooldowns. enemy cooldowns. Okay, so if Makoa uses his shield, Makoa no shield. If Makoa uses his shell spin, Maeve uses her dash.
The hook.
No, not the hook. I'm talking about escapes right now. Any character with his, buck, jump, whatever.
Yeah.
It's all one phrase. Those are all escapes. So, it'd be like buck, no escape. That is the main tank's job. He's calling out the cooldowns, the hook, the shields, the escapes, the Grok totem, things like that. That's his job. As the side tank, my job is to flex between helping the DPS or helping the main tank. When I'm helping the DPS, the main tank needs to call out the priorities. But when I am helping out the main tank, my job is to call out priorities. And what we did was we usually stuck me on the priority targets, right? My job is to say who we're going to shoot. Okay, so if I want Grok dead and we all need to shoot Grok, I'm going to be screaming Grok 1,000 times. Okay? Meanwhile, we got Drake calling positions. We got Garcia calling out the cooldowns. Grok no totem. Boom.
Right.
My job is to say Grok, 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 right? And then the two DPSs, they don't talk. The only time they talk is when they call out a cooldown from an enemy ability that we don't see, or they need help. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's basically how we did ours. Now, to practice our callouts, we didn't do them in scrims. We didn't do any of that because that's too fast-paced. The enemy team is not going to stop for a second. So what we do is... Exactly. We play against bots.
Yep.
So, there's many ways to practice as a team.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of like getting your boundaries as a team. Like,
exactly. But what I'm trying to say...
Every high-tier player, when you join a team, you should come with communication, honestly. If you regard yourself as a good player, think about, like, all the high-tier esports comms. Like, they're mainly just literally screaming. Like, NA comms and esports is, like, crazy. Did you watch COD Champs? Like, these guys were just, like, 4 people just...
Yeah, but they have a system to what they do, and they have to perfect their system within each other. So if someone switches a team, they have to they have to start the system over or create a new system with that player. If someone swaps roles in Paladins, they change what their comms should be usually.
A lot of people just roll with it, honestly, in comms. Like,
exactly, but that's a big problem if you ask me. So these teams who are going to be grinding till the next qualifier, if no one wants to scrim them, then they can find other ways to practice, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you guys doing? I know you guys aren't on a team that's in the PCL. You guys looking to join a PCL team, or are you guys going to look to build a roster to grind with?
Honestly, I'll just go first, just real quick. Like, the thing is with me, like, I have college, so, like, I can't really grind as much, and I have a job, so, like, when it comes to be this time, I can never really stick with a team, and that's pretty bad. But, I'm probably just going to not play for a while, just play casually until the summer.
Okay. What about you, Des? What are you going to be doing?
I'm probably going to create another team if I don't get into one, and just grind with them till next qualifiers.
Okay. So here's the thing, Author. You said the summer, right?
Yeah, but I'm also going to be a sub for Dez's team because I can still play a little.
Okay. So, all right. See, that is what I was going to ask. How are you going to keep your competitive nature? How are you going to stay up with the metas? How are you going to stay mechanically sound? Because you said you're not coming back to the summer. We're starting the fall split. There's a spring split as well. So you'll miss 2 splits.
No, he's still going to be playing, like, ranked and shit. Like, he's still going to keep up with the meta.
Yeah.
He's not going to be, like, blind.
And I'm going to be subbing in scrims.
Right.
So I'll definitely keep it with it. It's just if I don't want to, like, prevent the team from being what it could be if I can't be there every day. So.
All right. So worst case scenario, you guys grind out for the next PCL split, which would be the spring split. You guys don't make it again. What happens then?
Well, it just depends on the mood if I still want to continue playing the game or not.
Exactly.
Okay. So it depends on the mood. What goes into the mood? I mean, the scene, the players.
Real life.
Yeah, real life.
What if they're paying at that point?
I mean,
Oh, well, then I'll stick around if they're paying at that point.
So the money talks, is it, huh?
Right.
I mean, real life. Yeah.
real life, yeah.
Gosh, that's why I got a job.
You work at Taco Bell, Arthur? Where do you work?
Nah,
McDonald's.
I work at a grocery store in produce. I'm in college.
We got a little bit of time left. I mean, is there anything you guys wanted to talk about specifically?
Not much.
Go ahead, Des. Honestly, I just wish like this game could get better because it's like it could potentially be such a good game, but
Yeah, of course.
Hey, yeah, we were talking about that.
we have to get exposure on the community so people like you could flourish and like people that like are at the top of the scene could flourish and the whole game could just start fucking being good.
Okay, so let's talk maybe for like 20, 30 minutes about the power rankings.
Let me pull that up. I forgot what it was. Let me see.
So, what do you guys think about the backlash I've gotten, mostly about the number 6?
Can you explain the backlash?
I think it was like people don't really know what power rankings are, and they thought like they were putting in like all time like what players have done into the power rankings, which it's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be like 1 week.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing: they're talking about Onslaught should be number 1 or Onslaught should be top 4 because they won their group or they won.
They lost twice, didn't they?
So that's their backing?
No. Here's what someone told me. Someone told me, well, they won. What was it? Oh, they won. If this was a LAN qualifier, they would qualify. And I looked at my computer screen and I said, "What? What? There was 2 groups. There's 2 number 1 teams in the groups.
Yeah.
Kirsty's Hands went 3-0 too. What do you mean? They would have to play Kirsty's Hands, and the winner would go to LAN if that was a qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not how it works.
Yeah.
But no, the thing I think people don't understand is that after every split, that is the end of a season. So the results from the end of that season or the end of that LAN, the LAN ends the season. They go into the first week of power rankings for the next season, right? So
Yeah.
Before the PCL open bracket week 1, Onslaught was the number 1 team.
Right, because they won LAN.
They won Summer LAN. They were the best team, clearly.
Yep.
And Elevate was number 2. Vex was number 4, and Flashpoint was number 3.
Right.
And then so on with all the other teams. But here is the problem. In week 1 of open bracket play, they lost in the finals to Vampire Lord.
Uh-huh.
So that potentially hurts them in the power rankings, right?
Exactly.
That's how it works.
In week 2, they play 3 sets in the tournament. They win the finals against the Xbox team, which is now called Bushwakan. Okay, at the time, that team is a tier 2, maybe even tier 3. Okay.
Okay.
The other 2 sets that they had were against Kirsty's Hands and some team that didn't even qualify for week 3, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check just to make sure. I can pull it up here. Week 2, North America Xbox. Okay. So the first matchup, they go up against New Gaming Order. Okay, they did make it into the top 8. They were the number 8. Okay?
Okay.
Or number 7. So, New Gaming Order. They've been around for a while, but that's a tier 3 team. Okay? In a best of 1, they beat them 1-0. Then they face Kirsty's Hands in a best of 1. You can't really measure a lot from a best of 1 to begin with, right? So, they beat them 1-0. They beat Kirsty's Hands. Kirsty's Hands is a tier 1 team.
Right.
And then they face Xbox team and 2-0 them. Okay? Now that helps them in the power rankings, but not as much because there's only 1 good team out of those 3 that they faced at that time.
Yeah.
And the other side of the bracket, Xbox team had a harder bracket potentially. I mean, Press Y and Vampire Lord had to face each other, and then Vampire Lord lost to Xbox team. That was the whole G Fuel and the whole G Fuel and the router and Kenichi wasn't there situation.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Xbox team didn't really prove to be that great of a team, beating Vampire Lord with 2 subs.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is not a solid redefining week for Onslaught. And then if we go to week 3, they have to face Happy Battle Cats, Bushwhacan, and New Gaming Order. You've 2-0'd Bushwhacan, and that's potentially your only team you have to worry about in that group. The other ones are New Gaming Order and Happy Battle Cats, and they're not that good. Those are tier 3 teams.
Yeah, the other side was stacked. The other group.
Yeah, Curse These Hands, Vampire Lord, Press Y. If you're in that group and you go 3-0,
yeah,
you're jumping to the top 2 in the power rankings. But they're in the weaker of the 2 groups. One of the weakest groups of all the groups in that whole weekend, if you ask me. I mean, Bushwhacan is the second strongest team in that, and they weren't even that strong of a team to begin with. And then you lose one game. You still win the set 2-1, but you lose one game to Happy Battle Cats. You guys don't know who they are, do you?
Nah. Who's on the team?
I don't even know. Honestly, if I had to pull it up, I can pull up their roster. But what I'm saying is that's a tier 3 team at the time. They're not even supposed to win a match unless they beat New Gaming Order. And they end up beating Bushwhacan, and then they take one map off of you, Onslaught. The supposed best team to ever grace the Paladins realm.
Yeah. Yeah, that hurts their power rankings a lot.
And then, they got mad at you for that? I don't understand.
The people still understand that they still think that they should be a top 4 team. So on Happy Battle Cats, you have Genos R34, Apathy Ace, Milk a Cat, Mr. Pickles, Chezio, Sword of Avalwal, and The Great Be Rich.
Mr. Pickles is a fragger, to be honest.
You don't know who that is.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But they're number 6. Let's look at the 5 teams above them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys tell me, and I'll give you the argument for each one of these. You tell me which team you think it could replace, Onslaught could replace in these power rankings for this week. Number 1, we have Elevate. Are they replacing them as the number 1 team?
No.
Nope.
We have Flashpoint. Are they replacing Flashpoint as the number 2 team?
Nope.
Are they replacing Vex Gaming, who has not lost a single match throughout 3 weeks of qualifiers? Week 1, they go undefeated. Week 2, they go undefeated. Week 3, they go undefeated. They did lose maps a couple times, maybe twice, I think. But other than that. So are they replacing Vex as the number 3 team?
Nope.
Okay, number 4 and number 5 are the 2 teams that people say should not be there as well. Are Curse These Hands is number 4. Okay? Now, if we look at Curse These Hands, they're in a group with Vampire Lord, who's beaten Onslaught. They beat Vampire Lord in the group stages. They beat Vampire Lord in the bronze match of week 2, but that was the subs and the G Fuel problem, so I didn't really go too heavily into pumping up Curse These Hands off that. But they beat them with a full roster in group stages, and they beat Press Y in the harder group. Who did they face before that in week 2? They lost to Onslaught, but they beat Happy Battle Cats. They beat the One Tricks, who I thought would make it into group play.
Yeah.
That was a tier 2 team on Xbox NA. They beat Happy Battle Cats. They lose to Onslaught, but I think it was a 4-2 or 4-3. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I did look at it inside the Discord results. And then they beat Vampire Lord in the bronze match. Then they go into group play. As I said, they play Press Y, who was one of the teams that was supposed to qualify for the league, and they beat Vampire Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, I think competitively, Kirsty Hands is the 4th best team in the PCL right now.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe they can't beat Onslaught, but
But it's a power ranking.
It's power ranking.
that's what I'm saying. But here's the thing: it was like, oh, well, they wouldn't beat Onslaught in a LAN qualifier. Well, okay, I still think they're the 4th best competitive team. Look at it this way: this is the best example of how I'm trying to explain that I think Kirsty Hands is the 4th best team in the PCL, but they could still lose to Onslaught in a head-to-head matchup. Okay, who was in the Western Conference NBA Finals last year? The Golden State Warriors and who?
The Warriors.
The Warriors and who? Houston, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Rockets.
Exactly. If the Rockets would have won that matchup, do they beat the Cavs?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and obviously the Warriors beat the Rockets and they beat the Cavs, right?
Yeah.
So the Rockets lost to the Warriors, but the Rockets could still beat the Cavs. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's all about the head-to-head matchups. Some teams do better against other teams because of their strats, their drafts, their style of play, and they don't do good against other teams because of the same reasons.
Right. It's like saying when the Warriors lose a game to like a trash team, like if they lose to the Lakers or some shit, that doesn't automatically make the Lakers a better team than the Warriors.
Well, look at it this way. When the Warriors went on that huge winning streak a couple seasons ago, they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. Does that make the Bucks a better team than them? Does that make the Bucks a better team than the Cavs? Does that make them a better team than the Rockets? Because they beat the Warriors and the Warriors beat all those teams?
Nope.
Exactly. It's all about the matchups. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And so I put them at number 4 because I feel like they're the 4th best team in PCL right now. At this very moment. That could change in the next power rankings, which come out every week. And the power rankings start over every split. The split that just ended goes into week 1's power rankings. That influences the first week of the next split's power rankings. But after that, it doesn't really influence. Onslaught's LAN doesn't matter anymore. It's 3 weeks later. It's 3 weeks later. Yes, they won LAN. Yes, they were the best team. But it's 3 weeks later. Someone else brought up when I did the power rankings of the NBA teams. You know, the Golden State Warriors won the championship, and they're ranked 3rd right now. Well, some people will be like, someone said, if they start off the season 2-2, that doesn't mean they're not going to be number 1 or top 3 at least. I said, okay, but what if they go 2-2 every 4 games, and it's the middle of the season now? Are they still the number 1 team, even though they're what would it be, like 20-20?
Yeah, they're not.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It does. We are technically 15-20 games into our NBA equivalent season. It's the 3rd week.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 9.
Yeah, the last season doesn't matter anymore.
There's 9 weeks in the PCL. There's 6 regular season, and then there was 2 open qualifiers, and then group stages. That makes 9 weeks. We're in week 3.
Mm-hmm.
We're 1/3 of the way into the fall split.
Yeah, exactly. So it just goes off like how they play that week. It's not about what they did in the past.
And then let's look at Cyclone here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Cyclone, which was FY Midnight Oligarchs, is number 5 above Onslaught. And, a lot of people said, oh, they were, they don't understand how they were 2nd in their group and they made it 1 spot higher than Onslaught. Well, let's look at their group. Who did they take a map off of? Who came first in their group? Flashpoint.
They beat everyone besides Flashpoint, right? And they still had good games with them.
Exactly. They go neck and neck with them.
That ranks them super high.
But here's the thing. Flashpoint, right now, I think could beat Onslaught. So if Cyclone can take a map off a team that I competitively think can beat Onslaught at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
I would like to see that matchup.
Yeah, it puts them higher. For sure.
I mean, I want to see tons of matchups. I want to see Cyclone face some Xbox teams. I want to see Vex face some PS4 teams. Sick. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see all kinds of things, man.
I want to see Vex play like PS4 NA teams. That'd be fun to watch.
It would. But the crossplay is a big problem. The
regions.
One team going to LAN, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Swarmso said it. Swarmso and Op said it perfectly last time on the last episode. We can't expect high-res to just be paying for all these people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. I mean,
it is.
I'm looking up hotel rooms for myself for HRX. It's $900 for a one bed. That's just for me. So I mean, 2 beds, 6 people per team. They're bringing out 12 PC teams, maybe even more. I mean, they brought 12 to Atlanta in January. They're doing this so often. They've had 3 LANs this year. Actually, no, 4, 5 if you count the Vegas Invitational for PC.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, does Onslaught take any of those higher positions, in your opinions? You've heard my arguments for the teams above them now.
I mean,
in power rankings, it doesn't. In power
I think Onslaught Onslaught's obviously still one of the best teams, but in the power rankings, they haven't been performing to what they usually do. So
listen, if I had to pick teams to qualify for LAN right now, today. Okay, I know it's a different day than when the podcast drops, so technically it's Friday when everyone's going to be listening to this.
Yeah.
So right now, if I had to pick LAN qualifiers before PCL Week 1 starts, Onslaught is still my pick out of Xbox NA.
Yeah.
Of course.
Still my pick. Elevate, Flashpoint, Vexed, and Onslaught, the same 4. Those are still my picks right now. No one has proven that they can beat them when it comes down to it for a LAN qualifier. Like when that is on the line, those 4 teams are my picks right now. I'm gonna be picking. I'm gonna do this on Console Corner Show, which would have been yesterday for the podcast. But at the beginning of the season, I'm gonna pick my LAN teams. In the middle of the season, I'm gonna do the same thing, and then at the end of the season, before the LAN actually has its qualifiers, I'll do it again, and we'll see how it changes throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the power rankings will change. I mean, let me see if the matchups are set for the season for Xbox. It's not. Okay? So let's say, for example, Kirsty's Hands and Onslaught play each other in the first round, right?
Yeah.
Onslaught wins. And then Vampire Lord beats Happy Battle Cats in the first round. So it's Vampire Lord versus Onslaught. They beat them in the finals. Or it's Onslaught versus Vampire Lord, and they win, and then they beat Kirsty's Hands in the finals for Week 1. That right there proves that they will move up 1, 2, maybe even 3 spots.
Right.
If they beat Kirsty's Hands, of course they're going to go higher than Kirsty's Hands. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And I know I've said in the previous times, the previous weeks don't influence the current week, but they kind of do if it's in the same season. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's in the season before, then it doesn't really influence once you're so deep into the new season. But here is another thing that I think is one of the big factors of this outrage amongst these power rankings is that normally, if you look at my power rankings in the past, okay, I used to do them where it was the top 8 teams, top 8 rankings for each region on each console. So there was 4 power rankings. There was 24 teams in the power rankings, right? You'd have 1 through 8 PS4 NA, 1 through 8 PS4 EU, and then the same thing with Xbox NA and EU, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I combined them. I did 8 teams for Xbox and 8 teams for PS4. NA and EU mixed. Now, so like if we look at Week 2, Onslaught was number 2 behind Vex Gaming.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, We're doing all 16 in one ranking. And I said the day before I released the video on Twitter, I said, this is going to cause a problem. Like, this is going to hurt someone's ego. Someone's going to mentally cry, and there's going to be backlash and outrage. And what happened?
Right. It comes down to people not knowing what power rankings are, though.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I mean, all this backlash and everything is good for me. It doesn't matter. No press is bad press.
Publicity. Right.
Exactly. When I look at my impressions on Twitter, they are in the 10,000s, bro. And I am trying to get an org to sign me as a content creator and streamer so that Paladin's Console Corner can get even bigger. So that I can even grow the scene even bigger. Okay? That's why I started Console Corner. I don't care about being famous. I don't care about being rich. Everyone needs to understand this. This is about our scene. This is about Console Corner helping the Paladins console esports scene. Okay? That's what I do this for. That's why I do all of this. So, I mean, if I'm getting this much feedback, it doesn't matter if you're yelling at me or you're praising me. It doesn't matter because the scene is growing.
Right.
The interest. People are interested in the esports scene now. You know? Back before Console Corner, it was just Xbox kids on Twitter dogging PS4 kids on Twitter. It's just people egoing each other the whole time.
Right.
Look at all the kids that play Overwatch on Twitter. They just argue with each other the whole time. Or they just make fun of Mercy e-girls.
Yeah.
Boosted Mercy mates, right? That's all they do. Make memes, dog each other, ego each other. Who's the best this? Who's the best that? Who's the worst this? Who's the worst that? Blah, 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 blah. They didn't have Console Corner for the Overwatch console scene. Look at us now. Instead of people dogging each other, they're like, yo, Blue, you're an idiot. Why is Onslaught not number 1 through 4?
Right.
They're actually talking about our scene. So in a way, I have successfully done what I've wanted to do. To an extent. But I want to keep doing it. I want to make it bigger. You guys feel me? You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
You guys dead? You guys tired?
I'm
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
What'd you do all day? Jack off the zucchinis?
Yeah.
Something like that.
My man be bagging groceries for old ladies.
I work in produce, nigga.
Exactly. But no, I mean, that's all I really have for you guys today. This is a pretty short episode.
Yeah. How long was it?
About an hour.
Okay.
Hour and 15. I mean, compared to the other ones, it's pretty short. But the
Yeah,
other
like
ones were like, when we only talk about one or two topics, and you know, it's kind of a dry week. You know, besides the power rankings problem, you know, and the teams that are looking for players now in the PCL, or people that need subs, or players that are no longer in the PCL. You know, there's even players that are willing to switch platforms, switch consoles again to play for a PCL team. I know Ari is on Xbox. He was with Press Y. He'll switch to PS4 if needed. Destronite has both consoles. He could do both. He was also on Press Y. So I mean, I'm excited for the league, excited for the matches, and
when do they start?
Should be this weekend. Should be.
All right.
I think the PS4 side of things are already, like, the matches are shown.
I'm gonna have to see that.
The PS4 EU ones are shown.
What are the matchups for first week?
And the Xbox EU are shown. No, it's the whole 6 weeks.
Oh shit! You got a link for that?
If you just go to like the bracket and it shows the groups, there's a tab that says Final Stage. You click Final Stage.
All right.
So for everyone listening, if you want to look at the matches the matches for the whole season, I believe this is it. This only makes sense. You can go to the brackets. So if you go to challenge.com, which is CHALLONGE.com, for example, you can do /PCLEU Xbox, all one word, and it'll bring you to the page. And you'll see as soon as you get there, it'll say PCLEU Xbox, and it'll have the two groups, Group A and Group B, and it has the standings and the matches. Now, above that, there is tabs that say Group Stage, Final Stage, Standings, Discussion, and Log. If you click Final Stage, it'll show you round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, round 6. That is the 6 weeks of plays right there. And then at the bottom, it has the standings. So it has your match, win and loss, ties, tiebreakers, set wins, set ties, and points.
Mm-hmm.
I think the point system is going to go based off of how many points how many maps you win and lose. That's how it was. That's how it was in the group stages. That's why the third leg qualified and Thomas and Friends didn't, even though Thomas and Friends beat the third leg in round 3.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Well, if Thomas and Friends would have 2-0'd them, they would have been tied in points and been forced to play each other again. And then whoever won that matchup straight up would have been in the league. But since the third leg took one of those 3 maps, they had one more point.
Yeah.
So that's how that works.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for them.
That's the problem with round robin. The problem with the round robin tournament is that later on, like matches later on, could potentially mean everything or nothing.
Right.
So, yeah. With 4 teams, it's not so much it means nothing, but as it gets to be more teams, it kind of means nothing sometimes. You also need tiebreaker situations. Sometimes that's a hassle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to thank you guys for being on the show. You guys, this could potentially get you people that want to talk to you or be friends with you on PlayStation and stuff, or follow you on Twitter. I know Swarmso and Op were on the show, and we talked about how we could help the community and how we could help the casual player base get better instead of being toxic and stuff. And Swarmso actually got a message from a kid on PlayStation after a ranked game, said, "Hey, I just played in your game, and I listened to Blue's podcast, and I was wondering if you can give me tips or tricks whenever you have some free time, blah, 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 blah." And, that was huge.
Yeah, that's crazy. Usually, sometimes I'll, go on Twitch and, look at PS4 streamers, and I'll help them out, with meta and shit like that.
Yeah, I've seen you help people on Twitch before. But, yeah. Oh, yeah, your boy Harry Styles or whatever his name is. On
Harry
Xbox.
Styles.
Yeah, dude, the Pro Koga. The guy who's he was streaming and his buddy in the background tried to convince me and you that Ninja created the no self promo in Twitch.
Yeah,
and me and you are virtually looking at each other with the what the face.
I mean, he was 12 or oh no, they were saying he was 11 or something like that. So
yeah, I don't know. But thanks guys for coming on the show. I'm super excited that you guys got to be on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, these do go to Spotify and iTunes. They also go on a podcast website named Wooshka, and they also go on YouTube as well.
All right.
So Des, Author, I don't know if you guys have any last words or anything you want to say. You can shout your Twitters out if you want.
My Twitter.
You guys are so terrible. You guys just want to. None of you made a sound until both of you did at the same time.
Go, Author. You guys yours first.
My Twitter is @AuthorTheGod.
Mine's iqZedX.
So it's iqZedX for
right.
Des, and for Author it's AuthorTheGod. So check them out. They play a lot of Paladins. They're really good at Fortnite. They're average at Call of Duty now.
Right.
But that's the best bot tier gameplay you'll ever see in any game. So check them out. Thanks for coming on the show, guys. Appreciate everything.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Was fun.